Hi, I'm Tanis and welcome to the vlog. So for today, we're gonna catch up on my trip to Arizona. We decided to escape the winter and head to Arizona, where I set out to race Black Canyon's 50K that took place on February 9th, 2025. On February 7th, we are off from Toronto, Ontario to Phoenix, Arizona. Five hours later, we landed in Phoenix, Arizona. Where we are beyond happy to see the sun for the first time in weeks. Warm. From there, we picked up a rent-a-car and we're off on the road. Arizona has the coolest landscape with epic cacti lining the road and blue skies all around. First stop was Black Canyon City for a race kit pickup and a first glimpse of the course.
Let's go! What do you think, Josh?
Cool. That's cool.
I had to zoom in on your face. Let's go! That's the finish!
And from there, I was ready to run on some beautiful trails in the Arizona sunshine. But first, I had to fangirl a little bit over one of my favorite YouTubers, Billy Yang. From there, we headed to our hotel for the night in Prescott, Arizona, as the sun set around us. The next day I was up with the sun and decided to head out for my shakeout run from the hotel. So we're here in Prescott, Arizona. We're half an hour away from the race start line, is my hotel that I'm staying at. So it's the day before the race. It's Saturday, February 8th. The 100K is currently on. I decided not to go watch it in person because I don't want to be standing out all day and get tired and get too anxious. So I'm kind of checking in on the online. So pretty cool. It's 9 degrees right now, and I get to go run in shorts and a t-shirt. Coming from Canada, I just ran and slipped on the ice all day Thursday, and I was so annoyed. And now it's in beautiful Arizona. So yeah, we're gonna do a little 20-minute shakeout with some strides. I flew in yesterday, so we do need to get the flight out of my legs and just figure out how this temperature is gonna feel for tomorrow. It's gonna be a high of 16 by the time I get to the race. Finish. So yeah, let's go. Shorts. So Prescott is at 5,000 feet. So a little bit higher than sea level. You definitely got the dry air in your lungs. My legs felt quite good after a long travel day, probably because of the sunshine. It really helped lift the spirits. I even found some local trails along the way. Look at that. I found some trails. There's elite trails everywhere in Arizona. As I finished my strides, I had such immense gratitude to be here now, especially after struggling through injury all training block. That's done for my shakeout, 20 minutes. We're just gonna head back into the hotel and rest. I didn't know it yet, but tomorrow's race would have a completely different kind of battle than what I would have expected. The race morning started out normal with typical nerves. Before I knew it, we were off from Mayor High School's track and onto the roads. We made our way towards the single track and I found a pace that felt right for me. Even at 4:30 per kilometer, I was pretty far back. What a competitive field. Everything was on track through the first few aid stations. Going into the race, I assumed I may have some issues with my ongoing hamstring injury. In reality, life had other plans for me that day. As the sun strengthened, I started to notice the heat and the lack of shade around 21 kilometers. I had a few more burps than normal, trying to settle my increasingly sore stomach. As I passed my husband and crew at the 32K aid station, I stacked up on ice and doused myself with water, and I still was moving relatively quite well. That quickly unraveled and I had to start walking to settle my stomach. By the 38K aid station, I summoned into the volunteers and I told them I felt terrible and filled my bottles and just kept walking on through. Now, 2 kilometers later, the entirety of the contents of my stomach now came up as I threw up twice. Every inch of what I had taken in that day had not absorbed. Now, thinking I might feel a bit better now that I threw up, I tried to start running and I just couldn't. I could run a few steps and then I had to walk again. So from that point forwards, it became just keep moving forwards. En route, I would throw up 4 more times. There's even some footage I found of someone passing me as I'm doing my death trot towards the finish, just wondering if I was gonna make it. Now, it wasn't the day I expected, but I definitely learned a lot. And after all, I was really happy to even be able to finish that race because I was expecting to have all these major issues with my hamstring and possibly drop out due to that. Now, I've never had stomach issues in an ultramarathon before, at least not even close to that extent. I think it had something to do with the heat in combination with the actually lack of humidity, because that makes it impossible to sweat. Now, I did cool myself as much as I physically could, but who knows exactly what I could have done next time to prevent that. But I also have to look at the rest of the field. Probably more than 50% of people who were racing that day also had stomach issues. So it goes to tell you it's probably just a really hard race in terms of conditions and time of year, that maybe there was nothing I could have done to have not had that happen. All I know is that I was really thankful to finish that race and put another training block down for the rest of my season and to come out of it without a major blown up hamstring. Afterwards was some much needed TLC for my blisters. The next morning was a quick swim before we headed out to my favorite place on earth, Sedona. I'm gonna try to weaken my leg up there. It's pretty sore. As always, the drive was stunning. We made a quick stop en route to see the Montezuma Castle in Camp Verde. Going to Montezuma Castle. It's pretty much Camp Verde, which is on the way, and we always drive past it. This site contains dwellings used by the Sinagua people between 1100 and 1425 AD. Situated at 90 feet or 27 meters off the ground, it is an engineering marvel. It was a great way to break up the drive and stretch the legs post 50K.
You're moving a lot.
Yeah, not too bad.
Not throwing up again anymore.
No. And here we made it, Sedona. The drive alone is incredibly scenic with 360-degree views all around of red rock. As soon as we arrived, we were off on our first hike, Soldier's Pass Trail, to 7 sacred pools. This out and back hike has relatively low elevation gain of 150 meters and would be 9 kilometers total. hiking up Soldiers Pass to 7 Pools Trail. Thankfully, we chose a relatively flat hike as my quads were feeling the eccentric contractions less than 24 hours post-race. The downhill is just... The Devil's Kitchen sinkhole was another landmark along the way. And you can't beat the views in Sedona. We finally found 7 sacred pools. A natural feature worn into the sandstone, there are 7 distinct pools of water that act as an important water source for the wildlife that inhabit the area, and some say a very spiritual place. The hike itself was beyond breathtaking, even if you didn't just go do 50K the day before. One last quick detour to see Soldiers Pass Cave. Cave, just off of 7 sacred pools, and there's a lot of climbing, which means it's gonna hurt on the way back. Ouch. As we headed back to the car, it was time to check into our hotel where we'd spend the next 3 days. The Courtyard Marriott offered 360-degree views of the stunning Red Rock landscapes. So that's the first part of our Arizona trip. Stay tuned for part 2, where we hike up one of the highest points in Sedona, Bear Mountain, as well as Fay Canyon. And then we also will head off to other parts of Arizona, including Page and Flagstaff, Arizona, to explore more of it. Thanks for following along this journey with me as we gear up towards another season of ultramarathon training and racing. Be sure to like and subscribe for more.